Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked group of militants, are claimed to have been responsible for an armed attack on the African Union peacekeepers base in Somalia. The attack comes as Somalia prepares to hold long-delayed presidential elections. The president has since condemned the attack and called for increased military support. Al-Shabaab has been fighting for years to topple the central government and implant its rule in the country based on its strict interpretation of Sharia Islamic law. Now, Professor Mammo Muchie, a Pan-African scholar at the Tshwane University of Technology, joins us now to unpack this latest development. Professor Mammo, Muchie, thank you so much, of course, for joining us this morning for this conversation. We know that AU forces, Professor, have been in Somalia since 2007 trying to stabilize that country. They successfully managed to remove Al-Shabaab from the capital, Mogadishu, in 2011. What should we make of this latest attack by Al-Shabaab in Somalia, or that Somalian base?
As you rightly said, this is really a very sad situation. That Al-Shabaab that wants to promote Al-Sharia, this Islamic fundamentalist, approach, religion. I think it's got very support also with Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram. Many of these really extremist Islamic religions groups are actually allying together, and they are trying to. I think a country like Somalia is very, very divided. It has never been really strong, never united. Although it has the similar language, everything like that, but because they were divided by the colonially, the French part was there, the Italian part, the British part was there, then the clan system was there, and then the religion, although they are Islam, but they also have these extreme religions. So the division is still, the country is very strong, and that division makes them not work together. So it allows these extremists, Al-Shabaab, to continue to even though it may go down, it will come back again. I think the situation is very, very alarming. And I think that's what I really see. And I think this what happened recently is the idea was that this ATMS transition mission was supposed to finish by 2024. But now it looks like if they are fighting them, it means the African Union has to actually strongly take action to make sure that Somalia becomes normal. The problem is in the country they have delayed election. There's not a normal thing. Even the central government in Mogadishu is not is still fragile. Because of this, I think the conflict will continue for quite some time. It's not going to be settled very easily. That's what I can say.
Well, yeah. Professor, you've characterized developments in Somalia as alarming, given the divisions amongst the people. We know that just last week, in fact, the Somali parliament did manage to elect its speakers. This is some of the gains that have been made in recent times. And of course, as the country casts its eyes towards these presidential elections, how much of a threat does Al-Shabaab pose when we're talking about the transitional efforts that Somalians are underway with presently with the help of the AU and its many forces?
What we hear is that in the different parts of the country, the rural areas and so on, the Al-Shabaab influence is very, very strong. In other words, a lot of the ordinary people also join them. If that is happening, even though there may be a government, election done, and a parliament and so on, it still might be that even if the government also has its own army and so on, it still will, the conflict may continue unless a solution is found where Al-Shabaab could be under the rule of law. If that is not happening, even if you run elections, all right, and Al-Shabaab is still functioning, it means the conflict will continue. So what you saw now, what they did with this African Union transition mission, and then a lot of people from Burundi. These are the forces are the AU set them up. They are from Djibouti, from Kenya, from Uganda, all right, and from Burundi. And the ones that have been killed most, we were told, were from Burundi. What will continue to happen is that there will, even if this external AU mission is there, and then even the Somali army is there, if Al-Shabaab exists as an army, it will continue also to, the conflict will continue. Disruption will come, not regularly, but maybe as it happened now, it could come again, even if there's proper election done and settled. I think the best approach is to have the religions. Why are we in Africa use religions, ethnic, language differences, and others to devalue ourselves, to de-Africanize ourselves? Why don't we upgrade ourselves as African citizens with human rights, with social solidarity, with social justice as the main values to make us actually come together? And we should not continue to all the divisions that were also inherited from the colonial time. I think something is what's happening with Somalia. With Somalia, we are seeing many things. The division from the colonial times, the division with religion, it still exists. All right, the division with clans still exists, and also the now current division. Also, when you have a number of political parties, they also come into conflict. So even power how to seize power, how to gain power, how to acquire power also becomes a challenge. Since if we're not there's no clarity on how we want to move on to try to really create a system, governance, institutions, leadership approaches, where service of the people is number one, the priority, not what the different groups, their own self-interest matters to them more than what matters to the people. If this continues, I think what you could see is that the conflict from Somalia will not stop. It's going to continue. That's what I see.
Well, Professor Muchie, some may argue, in fact, that the social-political task that you're alluding to, the unification of Somalians across these divided lines, be it language, be it religion, is a task that will largely fall onto whatever new government, central government is formed post the conflict that we're seeing right now. But if we were to focus on the conflict, which is currently still destabilizing Somalia, what's the answer to that? I mean, is it a case of, the AU supplementing the transition mission with more forces, adding more soldiers to the contingent that's already on the ground to shore up a lot of these processes that are underway so that we can eventually get to the task of unifying Somalians across these lines that you've already alluded to?
Yes, thank you. A good question. I think this problem in Somalia is amazing. First, Somalia, in terms of language, and the religion, they are not divided. Even if you have the same religion, Islam, most of them do it. But then you have Al-Shabaab, all right, different Sunni and this, and then you divide yourselves. This kind of thing. Why even you are the same religion, but you are divided. You see, it's the same thing. Like you could be Christians, but you could be Lutheran, you could be Pentecostal, you could be all kinds of different different religions. Then you say my religion is better than your religion. All right, my way of worshiping is better than. You don't say that. If we have one God, why do we have to always say my way is better than yours? I should respect you, your religion. You should respect my religion, whatever religion I have. And if we have one God, and if we have too many religions, why do we become heartless with our religion, saying my religion is better than another religion? This is not fair. Even God will not value this. But why are they doing this in Somalia? You see, the language side, the religion side, they have more similarities than other places than we have in Africa. But still, there should be an example for unity. Rather, they become the wrong. They are actually dividing themselves. The other key problem, as you mentioned, is very important, is this Islamic extremists are now uniting and becoming like they are fighting everywhere, from Nigeria, Mozambique. They are everywhere now. Somalia, everywhere is happening. So what we should do now is, I think, the African Union and even internationally, there should be even the Islamic religion, those who believe in the normalized Islamic religion, even the religious institutions, they all should now unite, trying to control this extremism. Otherwise, it's going to continue. More African countries will be affected,
right?
Not just Somalia.
Professor,
that's what I see.
Indeed, and you've in fact touched on the last question that I actually wanted to raise with you, and that being, of course, concerns around the spreading of this insurgency, the spreading of this extremism. We've seen it in eastern parts of Nigeria, we're seeing it in Somalia, and in several other regions across the continent where you have fertile ground in sort of divided countries, or countries that have different religions that are causing a tenuous situation to arise. You find extremism taking advantage of that and trying to supplant any kind of governance and rule or authority in that area. Are other regions at risk of something similar happening to them?
Yes, I think very important question. This Al-Shabaab type, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram type, they are now spreading, and the extremism is going on. And my worry is, of all places, we in Africa might be affected, where we have weak weak governments, mainly, that we don't have governments that are therefore with strong institutional foundations. So what we have is we are weak in the sense that a lot of our politicians are not functioning properly. Because of this situation, my worry is that these extremists might even accelerate the corruption and the conflict and even the destruction in many African countries. So I worry about it, genuinely, to be honest with you. So that's why if we have the African Union, if there is genuinely a union, this must be a priority of priorities, to make sure that a control of this extremism must be done. And also the Islamic religious groups that are normal, that are not extremists, must also really genuinely unite with the African Union and others, and even internationally, all others that can combine with us must really work very strongly to make sure that Africa is not again put under this, that we've faced colonialism, now we are going to face religious extremism, and this is not fair. And I think the most important thing also is that we should also really now all of us should discuss about how we should also deal with religious differences, ethnic differences. These kind of differences, why should we politicize them? And why should we make them, saying that my way is better than yours? This is not fair also. This is not, even God will not be happy with this, because you are actually hurting God, not just human beings, not even the countries, not even the people. So I think we need to find now a new approach, a new paradigm shift, from really going from extremism, from just saying that valuing your own, what you believe in, and saying what other people believe, the religion they believe is worse than yours. This kind of thinking must be completely removed from the mindset of everyone. Unless this is happening, unless an education is done to make sure from kindergarten to tertiary level, everyone must be educated also to make sure that our values are good. We have moral intelligence, we have emotional intelligence, not just intellectual and other intelligence. We need to combine this so that politically we do not really get involved in this extremism and use religion It's also anti-Islam, to be honest with you. To use Islamic religion to kill as an Islamist other people is not right, because it's not, you are not supposed to kill people using religion.
Well, Professor
it's not
Muchie,
fair. You see, that's what it is.
Right,
That's
Professor,
what my suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Professor Mammo Muchie, we are going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us for that conversation and for that call, indeed, to respond to some of the religious extremism that we've been seeing across the continent. That was our Pan-African scholar at the Tshwane University of Technology, Professor Mammo Muchie, joining us for that Africa in View conversation regarding that Al-Shabaab attack on that AU base in Somalia.